Are you trying to create the perfect sound in your voice, in your singing, by combining the chest with your head voice? A few weeks ago, I posted about the 5 most common myths about singing and vocal health that I hear from singers and speakers all the time. And since I made that post, I have been breaking down each one of those myths for you every week. And so today we are on myth number 3, which is that pulling some chest voice into your head voice will create the perfect sound. So we're going to be talking about how attempting this impossible feat will send you down a path to vocal health issues. Let's talk about this. So, pulling the chest voice into the head voice to create a perfect sound. I'm just going to say this is another favorite myth of mine. And it's kind of like 2 myths in one, so you're getting like a little bonus here. So before we dive into this very juicy myth, let me explain what I'm talking about, just in case you're lost and you don't understand. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page before we move forward to dive into why this is a giant myth that needs to be busted. All right, so if you happened to tune in last week, then you learned that your chest voice and your head voice are both terms that relate to the classical singing technique. So your chest voice refers to the sound resonating in your chest, and your head voice refers to sound that is resonating more in your head. And we also talked about last week about how creating an open throat or space in the back is how we access our chest voice as well as our head voice. We also talked about how this open space is what gives your voice the breaks that it has. So let's talk about pulling that chest voice up into the head voice. So I don't know about you. I've never learned how to drive stick. I've only driven automatic. But here's what I can tell you, that stick shift, even though I've never done it, here's what I can tell you that it has in common with singing. You can't be in 2 gears at the same time, right? You have to pick one. So when we get back to singing, your chest voice has a definite limit. For women, that limit is the A above middle C. And so when that chest goes past the A above middle C and it's still in chest, it is stretching beyond its natural limit and causing lots of problems. It's putting us at risk for vocal damage. So that's why it's a problem. The break in your voice between your chest voice and your head voice. So the chest will go up to that A, and then you have your head voice after that if you're a female. So the break that's between those places in your voice is like being in neutral in your car, right? You can't be in both of them at the same time. So that's the first myth. You cannot be in both your chest and your head at the same time. So people that are pulling their chest into their head already were like, well, wait a minute, you can't do that, right? So let's continue because this gets juicier. It's like a big piece of gossip, this particular myth. So the second part of the myth is related to the idea of the open sound, which is from that myth we discussed last week. And that myth refers to pulling your chest up or past the break. And as I said last week, even though you can stretch your voice past this break, that A, it's dangerous. And doing it repeatedly is going to lead to a variety of vocal health struggles. So the chest, like I said, for women isn't meant to go above the A above middle C. For men, it's the F sharp above middle C. And when you do go past that break, it causes your cords to become inflamed. And that kind of inflammation and repeated cause of that inflammation can lead to serious damage in your voice. So those are the two pieces of the myth itself, but there's another common issue with this whole topic in general. So like I said, with a stick shift, you can't be in 2 gears at the same time, right? And I said that limit for the voice for women is that A above middle C. And when we push that chest voice higher than that limit, that we're at risk for vocal damage. And I also talked about how the chest voice and the head voice are terms that are only used in classical technique, that they don't apply to anything other than classical technique. Even though people use them all the time to talk about contemporary technique, it's not correct. They chest and head do not exist in contemporary technique. So applying classical technique to contemporary singing is it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way in a healthy way at all. That's what causes vocal issues. So with that in mind, the only way to achieve the desired sound that is being described as pulling the chest into the head, which is impossible, is to sing using a contemporary technique. Now again, you're not going to be pulling chest into head because that's impossible, but contemporary technique, there are two contemporary techniques. Oh my gosh, there are two contemporary techniques, belt and mix. And neither one of these techniques has any breaks at all. So the only way to achieve this kind of sound that coaches are describing and telling you to pull your chest in your head is by using a contemporary technique. So when coaches are trying to get you to make that kind of full sound that isn't affected by breaks, that's smooth and easy, which is only achieved using contemporary technique, but they're using classical terminology to describe what to do, it's contributing to the problem that singers continue to have with vocal health. Because to me, personally, it's a clear sign that the teacher is like a little confused about what needs to happen. But I also don't like saying that because it's what is being widely taught. It is the norm of what is being taught, even though it doesn't make sense and it doesn't work. And I'm not just being nitpicky about terminology. I want to be clear about that. There are a set of rules and practices for classical and a set of rules and practices for contemporary. And when you take the rules and practices for classical and when you take the rules for contemporary, but you're using classical technique, they don't work. They don't work together. The rules for contemporary do not apply to classical. So when people only have classical and they only know how to teach classical or they only know how to sing classical, but they're trying to use some of the benefits of contemporary but applying it to that, it doesn't work at all. I hope that makes sense. So if you are like, oh my God, what do I do? This is all I know. I've been trying to do this. I thought I was doing it, but I don't know. If you're trying to pull your chest into your head, you're going to have problems because it means pushing that chest past its break, past its limit for being healthy. I want to tell you, voice loss is not inevitable. And I want to make sure that as many singers as possible not only know this, but are experiencing it and are experiencing the benefits of singing in a way that is so healthy you will not ever lose your voice. Reach out, let me know if you have questions. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day.